welcome back to Womanology. Remember, we're still playing with the name. I did like Ria's notebook, but now I'm thinking Womanology Project. But we still trying to figure it out. But welcome to Womanology. We are here with Dr. Love, my cousin, and she graced us with her presence because, as we know, in March it is Women's Month, and we are interviewing inspirational women. So welcome, Tasha.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey girl, hey. Hey girl,
Hey.
hey. So, as always, I like to start off with an icebreaker. So, okay, sometimes I'll say what you're listening to. I did what's your hidden talent. Mm, what do you want to share about what you're listening to or what your hidden talent?
Um, so I'm currently listening to just old podcast of preachers. So
Mm.
right now, Stephen Furtick and Elevation Worship is a favorite. And so that's what I'm currently listening to, just kind of going through and re-listening to sermons that he's preached in the past.
Oh, what is your favorite one that kind of got your eye? Well, your
Oh,
ear,
I
eye.
I think it would be really hard to identify one.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know that I can identify one. There's always something, right? There's a nugget here or
Mhm.
there and all of them. And so I don't think I have one that like I could just point to.
You can just point and figure it out. Okay, no, that's
Yeah.
fine. So, I like Philip Mitchell. I've really been
Mhm.
listening to him. And one thing particular, and this is for anyone who struggles with hard thoughts and emotional regulation, is that he stated one time that the reason, and he said it on a podcast, I'm not sure if he said it in one of his sermons because I don't catch them all. Um, and I only catch clippers. I'm not even going to sit up here and lie and act like I look at them. I'm not. But I'm not. But in one podcast that I heard, he say the reason why I pray so hard, I have a ferocious prayer life because if I am not praying, then you don't want to see me. And what he meant by when you don't want to see me, like I can go a downward spiral.
Mm.
So I think a lot of people relate to that because like if I'm not doing this, you just be lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
be be lucky. So what's your emoji for today?
Um, the little one with the star eyes.
Oh, the one that says awesome.
Is that what it means? I just like
Yeah, when you
that
type
one
it
with the
in,
little
it says awesome.
star
Oh, okay. I like that one. So mine is just love, like the one with heart eyes. I just feel love. I'm just chilling. And not chilling.
eyes.
I'm just like full of bubbly energy. Okay. So tell us here at Womenology, how do you want to introduce yourself?
So my name is Tasha. I am a licensed attorney. I practice in Missouri and Illinois. Um, Currently running a housing organization. We serve about 20,000 people a year. We have over 2,800 units. Collectively, I think we're somewhere around nine, 9,800
Mm-hmm.
units of housing that we provide across the region. And so excited to be here to talk about, the journey and, who's inspired me and what happens next. So thank you again for having me.
Of course. So, how did you get there? Like how did you get to the place where you at now?
I would say it definitely wasn't a clear path. I think God has kind of been ordering steps and
Mhm.
opening doors that I didn't really anticipate. And so I would be remiss to say that, like, this was something that I planned or that this was
Yes.
something that I forecasted, or that, if you do A, B, and C, you can get to, point Z. This has totally been a God journey and a walk with Him and just allowing Him to do what He thinks is best in each situation.
So just releasing that control and just allowing that is so hard for like me though sometimes. So like I guess in careers, I have been able to release control. But when it comes to like other stuff, I be wanting to like take the wheel.
It's hard. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because not knowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not feeling in control can really create a lot of anxiety. And people, I mean, nobody wants to feel anxious, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
lost or confused. But I will say, you know, God has been faithful. And so learning to trust him along the way and allowing him to kind of steer and to kind of be in control of those things has kind of alleviated this pressure to figure out what's next, right? Or to try to plan for myself what that looks like or where his will is guiding me. And so it has helped. I can't say it's always been a smooth journey, but
Mm-hmm.
learning to trust along the way has been really instrumental and really good for my faith. So I'm grateful. I'm
That's
grateful for this.
so. What is different from this position and your previous position that you did when you were on the attorney side of things?
So I think the main difference is just not really being in the courtroom representing individuals. And so in my legal practice, that was what I did. Represented hundreds of individuals a year and different types of cases, and really having the opportunity to provide that direct level advocacy, right, and being a part of the outcomes in those cases. And now, in my current role, you know, as a housing provider and kind of running a housing organization, and still use my legal background tremendously. And I think even more so now because of all the different ways the law intersects with how we operate businesses and how we serve individuals and how we do development deals, right? And just having a staff, a really large staff, and all the employment laws that come into that. And so I still get to use it. It's just not in the courtroom, right? So I'm not arguing motions, or I'm not having trials, I'm not um, cross-examining witnesses and presenting evidence, but taking those same skills and being able to apply them to what I do currently, which is more of an.
I am Dom with the Uncaped Mama podcast. What can you expect on the Uncaped Mama podcast? Well, one, you can expect me talking about all types of topics related to motherhood and parenting. So things like, you know, things I've already talked about here, right, are um, going through loss and experiencing loss and rebuilding your relationship with yourself. I've talked about child support and all the issues surrounding that. I'll talk about money and finances. I've talked about self-care for parents. I will have myself, I'll have guests, I will have funny and light topics and also some more serious topics. My goal here is for moms to take their capes off, be okay with the good, bad, and the in between that comes with motherhood, and to be able to shape your journey the way that works best for you and your children. You are unique. You are different. There's lots of advice out there and a lot of information you can process. And my goal is for you to determine what works best for you. So that is the purpose of the Uncaped Mama podcast. That is what you will see here. Make sure to like, subscribe, listen, follow, engage with me. I would love to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next.
So we were talking about what is the difference between the position you have now and the position that you were in previously. And you had stated about previously you were in court and you were enduring trial, and now you're saying that you still have to know the law as much as you do now. It's just not as much interactive, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. In my prior position, I was actually practicing law, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so representing clients in court, so doing motions and trials and cross-examining witnesses and presenting evidence, just representing individuals and individual cases. And in my current capacity, while I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing any court advocacy, I find that I'm doing more advocacy now,
Mm-hmm.
just in thinking about how we represent the tenants that we serve, how we interact with the vendors and the contractors and the developers that we work with, and as an agency, how we treat our employees. And so the law is kind of interwoven into all of those aspects of what I'm currently doing. And even more so now, it's just a slightly different type of
Mm-hmm.
legal practice. But definitely, I would say having a law degree and kind of having that court-based experience has really kind of shaped how I approach the work that I'm currently doing, even in an administrative role.
That's good. I like your thorough answers. So I am going to ask another question because it kind of brought, what when you were speaking, I just kind of thought about this. Do you feel like this job is like your purpose? Do you feel like you're walking in your purpose right now in a moment with this job? Well, career path.
Yeah, so I do. I feel like my purpose is really to serve others,
Mm-hmm.
and to build community. And I recognize that can look a lot different, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think in every role that I've had or that God has allowed me to kind of operate in, that's been an essential component of it, right? Serving others and building community. And so I do see what I'm currently doing as a part of that and the fulfillment of that. So absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that I can still say that even though I never envisioned myself kind of along this pathway, it is still fulfilling, right? The desires that God has put in my heart and kind of, I think, his purpose for me. So,
Mm-hmm. So that's good. So I'm happy that you gave me that answer. And I was going to say yes as well, because I remember you really worked hard when you were on the attorney side, the lawyer side, you really worked hard with making sure that those clients that you were working with were placed and they had, if this housing didn't work out, you had a different housing. And one time in particular, you really worked for this one guy that you moved out of his apartment. Yes, I'm going to bring it up because that was the most sweetest thing ever. And I feel like our listeners need to know just being kind and being generous and how far that can get you, showing God's love to others. And it wasn't like he was the most, I felt to me that he was a little entitled for that help. Let's just say that, keeping it clean. But yeah, so you took all of our kids, all our boys, and they came and they helped move him out of his apartment, and you orchestrated that, and that was just very, very kind of you to make sure that he was good. So yeah, I feel like you are, this is you. I'm so
yeah,
happy about that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
But low key, how did you really feel?
That was genuine. And so when I
Uh-huh.
was representing clients in housing cases, you know, sometimes the law is what it is, right? And sometimes you're
Mhm.
not necessarily on the winning side of the law, but that doesn't mean you
Mhm.
can't have a good outcome. And so in that particular case, we were able to negotiate a really good outcome for this individual. He would still need to move because
Yeah.
he wasn't going to be able to pay the rent moving forward. But when you have seniors and veterans specifically who have disabilities and they don't have a network or a support system around them, even something as small as like, I shouldn't say small, but something like moving can be like a tremendous burden. And so I'm grateful that you and our other cousins allowed your kids to come out. And the boys, I think it was a really good
It was good for the
opportunity for
boys.
them
It was
to
really
kind of,
good for the boys. And I'm so happy that you picked them. And again, not to cut you off, but I really am, it was really good for all three of the boys because it showed them humility. It showed them how to be generous and be of service to others. So thank you. I
I
appreciate
agree.
that.
I agree. I think it was very good for them. I think it was good for
Yeah.
them. So
So, did you ever think your younger self would be the person that you are now? And this means
no,
professionally and personally.
no, no.
You elaborate.
No, no, no. Younger me wanted to be a crash dummy. Younger me
I
wanted
forgot
to
you
be
said
a
that. Yes.
pharmacist. Younger me wanted to work in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Younger me wanted to be an FBI or a CIA agent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no. Younger me, even pre law school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to find the career path that was going to make the most money.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when I was preparing for law school, I was like, I'm gonna do intellectual property law because that's where the money is. I had a plan, so no, absolutely no. Not professionally and not personally. I never saw this coming. I never saw it coming. And that's the beauty of God, right? Like he already knew. I would have never imagined, but he already knew. He had planned and he saw it. And he did what he needed to do, right? And so I am eager to see what he does next because I have no clue. I can't even begin to
You
imagine,
can't.
right?
I said that you can't even imagine what's happening, what could happen. So younger me wanted to do two things. So I wanted to be a bard and a bus tour junkie. Just
Yep.
traveling with no just traveling with no responsibilities. Definitely dilly dallying for a career. Like do. Yep, just that's what I wanted to do. However, I do want to state that senior year when we had to, and I don't know if you guys had to do this in your high school in Atlanta, but I know it was very prevalent in the Catholic schools. I guess it was for scholarships or whatever, the Catholic high schools. And they were like, hey, I need you all to finish up your purpose essay on what you want to become and things like that. It was something like that. Uh, I'm not exactly sure, but I remember writing. I wanted to be a school psychologist, and
Oh, really?
I remember writing that, and I remember people saying, "What is that? What is that?" And I was like, "No," I was explaining to them. They was like, "You mean a school counselor?" I said, "No." Mm-mm. So it's kind of what God had planned for me, and it's kind of like He kind of maneuvered things. However, I will be honest. Being a bard still don't sound too bad.
It was, second careers. People do it all the time.
That wouldn't be my second career. That would probably be my fourth. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
that would probably be my
Yeah.
fourth. Yeah. So I mean, I gotta find a tour bus. I guess I don't know.
You can
But
find those. Those are easy. Those are easy to find.
yeah, and if I was 20 years younger, because I need to sleep.
Right.
Tour
Like,
bus junkie sleep on the bus during the concert. How about that? Um, are you proud of yourself and all the things that you have accomplished?
I don't know how to answer that question. I'm grateful,
Mm-hmm.
for all that God has done. And I'm grateful, that He's brought me this far. I am. I'm grateful.
So, one thing I can say, and the reason why I mentioned proud and not necessarily grateful, because I know we're grateful for the gifts that He's given us. However, a lot of times with Black women, we don't necessarily say that we're proud of our accomplishments, and we don't necessarily celebrate ourselves for accomplishing the small things and the little things. And so, it comes off as like, well, if I say this, then am I not being humble for my accomplishments because I know they didn't come from me, but I am happy about them. Like I am proud that it's me. So, because I kind of struggle sometimes too. Like, am I really like proud of myself? But sometimes I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the work isn't done, so I feel
Yeah.
like I can't really be too proud because I feel like the work's not done. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah. How did God help you navigate this new experience? So we talked about the old career, and I know you still have that in your back pocket, but the new career, how did He help you?
Oh, well, what I'm doing currently is just it's very different
Mm-hmm.
than what I've ever done before. I spent my entire professional career practicing law. And so he has definitely, I would say, been surrounding me with people who have the knowledge, who've been willing to be a sounding board for me, to mentor me, to help, kind of help with the learning curve, because it's
Mm-hmm.
been a learning curve, and really give me the resources that I need and the the favor, right, with people
Mm-hmm.
that you need so that they can show you grace as you're learning, and so that, they can impart new information to you along your journey, even when they don't realize that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, just in having a regular conversation with somebody, and then they start to explain steps to this
Mm-hmm.
process or steps to this deal that they went through, and not realizing, they're just expressing, but not realizing that I'm actually learning, right, from
Mm-hmm.
listening to them and kind of going along the journey with them as they're sharing their experiences. And so he has been really gracious to allow me those opportunities and to put people along my pathway who have been super supportive, and willing to just kind of help me and support me along my journey. And so I've been really grateful for that. And so it's definitely been a faith walk. It is 100% been a faith walk. And so I'm continuing to look for the help, right? Like around every corner, I'm like, okay, God, where's my help? What's
Yeah.
the answer here? Who's gonna help me with this? And every time
Leaning
he
into it.
provides.
Mm-hmm. Lean into it. That grace and that mercy next to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, here's the other thing that I'm going to mention. So, I was reading a book, and it was a passage, and this was not a. It wasn't a church book or nothing like that. It was just. It had some type of religious aspect in the background, but it wasn't like a religious book. So it was a fictional book. So what happened is that in the book, this woman, she was in her job, and everybody around her, because God found favor in her, everybody else got to, get spill off that favor. And then, do you see that? Well, let me just speed up to the process. So everybody around her found favor because God found favor in her, and then the people that broke off, they did not find that favor, and they tried to come back, and it's pretty a good story. I don't ever remember titles, but again, y'all, I'm going to put it in the comments. But do you feel like that your favor has overflowed in your department?
Um, I don't know. So I was listening to the story, and it made me think about the story of Nehemiah, right? How
Mhm.
God had given him a task, and kind of led him back to the city to rebuild the walls, and how as the he kind of gave Nehemiah the people that he needed, and he allowed them all to be of one heart and one mind
Yeah.
to towards the mission. And so I do feel like that has been my experience, right? That God has purposed something, and that He has allowed the people around me to have one heart and one mind to actually
Yeah.
attain that mission and that goal. And because of that, He's blessed us in our efforts, and He's allowed us to accelerate our outcomes. And so I've been in my current role now for about 15 months. And when I started in my position, I met with a consultant who was like, here's some things that the agency really needs to work on, and it's
Mhm.
probably about 2 to 3 years to get there. And so I began to pray and really seek God about it, and pray that like everybody would have the same mind and the same heart to work, right? So we have the same goals in mind, and we could all work on one accord and be really focused on actually achieving our outcomes. And we were able to achieve those outcomes within the first year, something that should have taken us to maybe 3 years. We were able to do it in one because everybody was on one accord. And I feel like it was his doing, right? It was him bringing everybody together and him saying, I have a plan here. I have purpose here, and this is how I want you all to move. And then everybody was just kind of like, okay, what's my part in this? Okay, I'm going to do it, right?
Mhm.
Like doing it. And so I think He's just kind of been working in people, right, to keep us in a space of unity, so that
Mhm.
we find good success. And then, there have been some who've decided along the way that they weren't, they didn't want to remain a part of what we were doing. And I found, and I can honestly say, I found that when those departures happened, it did not detract from our ability to still achieve the outcomes. I think that's
That's
the blessing,
good.
right? And maybe the purging of God, right? So that we could see and know that, or so that I could see and know, and others could see and know that it was him who did the work. And, can kind of removing people from the process that may have wanted to take credit for themselves, but allowing himself to really get the glory in it, by not having them be a part of the success. And so that's kind of how I see it. And not to say that they didn't go on to find success in other endeavors, and they did. A lot of them did, but just recognizing that, like, what God wanted to do in that moment, that work wasn't for them, and it was okay, right? And giving us to be able to say it's okay if this person decides that they, no longer want to be a part of the team, and to not feel rejected or hurt or distraught by that, but to recognize God's providence in the work, and understanding that those people who are with you, and who are assigned for specific works and specific seasons, that God will see fit that they remain a part of what he's doing. And those who are not, just aren't. And it's not to their detriment, and it's not that they're bad people. It's just, this is what he wants to do, and this is how he wants to do it, and who he wants to do it with. And if he's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it.
Yeah.
So here's a different question. So it sounds like throughout the whole entire process of your transitional career, and even in your previous career, I don't want to say previous because you still have it in your back pocket. So, you can simultaneously move them at the same time. But I state that to be like, you have really talked about just releasing control, just letting God lead. Have you always allowed him to lead when it comes to things like that? Navigating your career choices?
I don't know that I
Navigating your
have.
personal life too.
I don't know. I don't know that I have. I
You're
think,
human.
I think that there are, times when we think we have the answers, or we have a plan, and you want to work that plan, right? Or you want to kind of follow along that pathway because it seems right to you. And even wrestling, right? And so I would say I've spent a lot of time in my personal and in my professional life wrestling, because, even with this career change, when the opportunity came to me, I was like,
I
I don't
remember.
know.
I
I
remember
don't
you
know about
did.
this.
You
I
definitely
was like,
wrestled with it.
I don't think this is for me. And
No, that is you being very modest because you would be like,
this
no,
how
I
I
want to. No, you were like, I'm not gonna take it. I'm fine where I am, Tasha. No,
felt.
they can
I
find somebody
Yes,
else.
like this, like
That's how you were. Like, no, they can find somebody else. I'm fine.
this is right. I don't know. I don't know. And so that's the wrestling, right? Like that's me in my complacency, or me having an idea of what I thought may have happened, right, a different way, and then having to wrestle with God wanting to kind of enlarge me, or take me in a different direction so that he could really use me in a different way. And so I can't say that it's always been something, and even now still not, but it's something that I'm still learning, right? And even in my hesitancy or my uncertainty to just go back to God, and and to share all of those things, because he's in touch with my feelings and my emotions, and he understands all of those things, and to just lay them before him and say, okay, this is how I feel. These are the thoughts that I'm having. These are the feelings that I'm experiencing. I'm leaving it here. Let your will be done. More than anything, Lord, I just really want to be obedient. And so whatever you desire, help me, right? To just kind of be obedient in that, and to allow him to do those things. And that is really what has been happening professionally, right? When he's opened the door of like, okay, and eventually, even when I wrestle with it, I'm like, okay, this is what you're saying. This is what you're doing. Then okay. And then getting in those spaces and being like, okay, God, I'm here. Now what? Right? Like, I'm here. I need your help. And allowing him to kind of strengthen me and to help me. And even in my personal life, right? Like just wanting to feel like, I can make this decision. Or, I've learned from experience, or I've learned from what this other person said, and, what they experienced in their lives, and then being able to realize that, like, at the end of the day, I don't care how much I think I know or how much I think I've learned from what other people have shared about their experiences.
The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a show for 80s babies who were 90s kids. If you were a No Limit soldier, then this is your show. If you believe that Cash Money is not an army but was a Navy, this is the show for you. If you and your friends ever tried to sing a song written by Escape, In Vogue, Shy, or Boyz II Men at a talent show during middle school, this is your show. The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a bunch of 80s babies talking about all the songs and things that we loved when we were kids and teenagers. So if you went to the skating rink and you were at a lock-in, this is the show for you. If you think that Tevin Campbell was the original Prince of R&B, this is the show for you. If you don't understand the conflict between Monica and Brandy, but you're kind of on Monica's side and understand why Brandy got punched, this is the show for you. Make sure that you tune in, subscribe, click the little subscribe link. We're here. We're going to talk about all things 90s music. This is the show for you.
It still needs to be, what he says. And it's interesting because this morning when I was listening to a sermon that Pastor Furtick was preaching, and that was something that he really talked about, the blessing and really submitting to the will of God and being able to kind of release control and to just allow him to do what he will do, and to remember that he is good and he is always good and he can only be good because he's God, and that his will for me and his purpose and his plans for me are good, and that I can rest in that, right? And not always have to wrestle and not always have to struggle, but to just rest in knowing that he loves me, and there is no one who will ever love me as much as he loves me or more than he loves me. And so if he wants something for me, then it's good, right? Even things that don't feel good. So I can't say that I've perfected it, but I am still learning and I'm still trying. And I think that's what's most important is the continual effort and the recognition that his plans are good, right? When we talk about Jeremiah 29:11, and it's his word is true. His plans are good. And his plans are better than my plans. And sometimes my plans are in alignment with his, and other times his are greater than mine. And they're always greater than mine. But sometimes I'm a little bit in alignment, but his plans are greater. And so just let him do it.
Sometimes my plans are all way across the street. Sometimes my plans will be across the highway, in the median. On the median, in the median, whatever preposition we want to use. That's what sometimes my plans be. And then he's so kind, he'll just wait and stop traffic for me till I get back on that bus.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So how important is being uncomfortable in your growth and allowing God to be the lead?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry not to cut you off. This is just a question, just in general, of course, for you, but just, any knowledge that you want to give those who are listening, when those who do struggle with being uncomfortable for a short period of time to get to, what God's plan is.
Yeah, and even for a long period of time, right? I think comfort and complacency is a juxtaposition to growth, right? You're not going to grow if you are always in a place of complacency. And so I think it is critical, right, that you are allowing yourself to be stretched and to have those moments of uncomfort or discomfort. I think I don't know how you grow without it, right? No one is 100% confident in everything all the time. And so, and if you are, I feel like you probably aren't challenging yourself enough or allowing God to really expand you.
Or maybe those people that you need around you to help you grow.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is good. So what else or what other information do you want to leave to our listeners? Just something that you've learned, excuse me, something that you've learned, something that you've, I guess, a mantra that you have taken with you. And then my last question, I'm gonna hold it until you answer this because I can just, spill out.
Oh, okay. So I would say something that I always kind of carry with me, and I've been saying this for years, like I will never doubt God's love for me. And that's something I've been saying for years, years and years in every situation. Like I like reminding myself, or when doubt tries to creep in, like, you know what, like I'm never going to doubt his love for me. And because he loves me, I know that he will help me. And because he loves me, I know that he will provide. And because he loves me, I know that he sees and he hears and he's in tune with what I'm feeling right now when I'm uncomfortable. And because he loves me, I know that I can bring all of my cares to him. And even like in professionally, right? Because he loves me, and I know I don't have to doubt his love for me, then I can trust like the direction that he's leading me in and the doors that he's opening, and knowing that those are the right doors to walk through, and the right windows to allow blessings to flow from. And so that's one thing I always say to myself, mostly say to myself, when I'm encouraging myself or just reminding myself, like, I'm never going to doubt God's love for me. And he loves me right now. And what does that love mean, right? And how does it show up in the situation that I'm facing, or the problem that's in front of me? For example, with like everything that's happening at the federal level with a lot of the funds and the monies that we use to support the families and to really do a lot of our development work and to provide housing. What does it mean now, right? That I'm in a leadership position at this time when these things are happening, knowing that he loves me. And so, okay, to me, that means like, okay, my confidence can be in him because he loves me and he's going to light the way and he's going to create a path and that he's going to provide because that's what he does. The earth is his and the fullness thereof. And so the other thing that I really, I would say that I would leave is, really encouraging people who are looking for or aspiring to certain professional levels or heights to really put their confidence in God and not in themselves. You will never know enough. You will never have all the answers. It's just, you just won't. That's just not how knowledge works. Knowledge is always evolving and expanding and changing. And so to just allow your confidence to be in God, that he will prepare you for whatever next step he has for you, for whatever opportunities he has for you, and to really trust in him and put that confidence in him instead of in yourself.
I like that answer. So what song would you use to sum up this portion of your life right now? Like,
Okay. I like this question. Okay, so the song that I would use right now to sum up this portion of my life is this song called "Never Be Defeated" by oh goodness, Rich Tolbert.
Rich Tolbert, Never Be
think I,
Defeated.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. Let me.
I'll find it and then I'm going to put it in our comments and we'll play a snippet of it at the end of the pod.
Yes, it's called "Never Be Defeated" by Rich Tolbert Jr. And Vincent Bonahan. But in the song, he's just saying, because God is the greatest power, we shall never be defeated. And that's kind of the purpose of the song, is to really kind of reiterate this idea that, when you belong to God and he has all power, then victory belongs to you. And that anything that the enemy says that is contrary to that's fact specifically, or that's not in alignment with that fact, is a lie. And so, God, you just a reminder to exalt God in those situations. And so I would say for me right now, that is the song. I actually listen to it on repeat all day today. It's like, you know what? God is the greatest power and there is no defeat in him. Victory only belongs to him. And I am in him. And so there's victory in this situation, and we'll find it at some point.
At some point,
we'll find it.
I
Yep,
love that.
it's gonna happen.
So I have two songs that I want to mention. So when I get the feeling of your story, I feel like the one song "Enlarge My Territory" because that's literally what happened to you.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, of course, personal because I know you and I know from working. Can I say the little places now? I don't know. Can I? From working at one law firm,
Yeah.
wink, 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 to another law firm, wink, 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 to another wink.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely been. I was. Yeah. I would. I can see that. It's definitely been an elevation.
That's why
Every
I said
transition
from
has been an elevation. Yeah.
wink, wink, wink. So yes, I would definitely state that. And then my favorite, my other song that I would, sum up this whole pot in general, the story in general is Lauren Hill Tell Him. She states that let me be patient, let me be kind. And she also talks about it's you. It's all you. It has nothing to do with me. This is all you. And yeah, and that's why I believe this has nothing, as you have stated, this is not Tasha. This is our God because you wanted to be a crash dummy,
I
flying on
did.
cars.
I did. I was proud about that. I was telling my family and everybody, I'm gonna get crashed when I grow up.
You want to
So
be a crash dummy. So
I'm glad he spared me from that.
are you happy about not being a crash dummy?
I think I am.
I'm
I
really
think
just
so.
being silly. I'm
It's
being
all
silly.
good. It's all good.
So yeah, so anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to tell us about the housing authority? How can we support? Do we need support? What do we need to do? No. Okay. All right, guys. So this is Womanology Podcast. You know we still working on the name, so I'm trying to figure that out. Womanology Podcast. Not sure, but you can find us on Womanology_podcast Instagram. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you so much. Thanks, Tasha. I appreciate you. I love you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace, Lord.